Welcome to channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on a little bell on the side, so once we have all the updated news, you'll be the first one getting all the insight. Now, obviously, we have just gone through a 2-year, 24-month plus pandemic. We probably enter into a epidemic, but don't know. There's just been a lot of changes due to the vaccination and also the international restrictions. Obviously, it has been lifted, but not fully lifted. So in this video, we will give you an update of today, the 23rd of June 2022, an update of incoming and outbound travelers in and out of Australia and what you should really look for. So bear in mind, the video is going to be a little bit lengthy. Well, not I like to be a lengthy video, but it's just a lot of policy need to go through. So let's jump in there and have a look. What you can do to get into this page is pretty easy. All you need to do is punch in Home Affairs and space COVID-19. You should be able to get yourself, or perhaps on the left hand side of immigration's website, there's also a navigation set COVID-19 and the border. So obviously you will see this page where it directs you to complete your DPD, but the DPD is only for person, that stands for digital passenger declarations, but that's only for travelers that they're about to travel. They're about to board the flight potentially tomorrow or 2 days later or a week later, and you need to declare that, and then see that you need to start DPD 7 days before your flight. So that's for people already ready to go. But what about I'm planning to go, but I need to find out more detail. Now obviously due to COVID, there has been a lot of changes, and it changes all the time, and if you come from any countries, there's different criteria. Every state there's different criteria. So what we're going to focus today is just on the Australian border, but for every different state. Now, well, 90% of them are the same, similar. The only one, if you are looking to go into Western Australia, they do have a little bit different policies there, so you might want to check them out too. So what I'm going to do is I have already scrolled down and click on the vaccinated traveler and the unvaccinated traveler, so you can check those ones, because some people do have medical conditions not allowed. Well, it's not allowed, but it's you know, it's not good for them fitness and health point of view to actually get vaccinated, and they will require some medical statements or medical certificate issued by the medical doctor. Now bear in mind, the exemptions doesn't apply if you have you just don't like it, or you have flu, or you just gone through a pregnancies and things like that. It has to be very detailed, pointing out that having this vaccination will have some life-threatening result in regards to the medical certifications. And then we also will potentially look into, if you have already contracted COVID, are you exempt as well? At this point in time, a very quick answer to you is no. At this point in time, the government of Australia will still require, even if you have already got COVID and recovered, you're still required to go for vaccination, and which is weird, isn't it? You are naturally immune. Why do you need to get the vaccination again? But I think that's likely to be changed in the future, but not for now. Today is the 23rd of June, so if you're going to board today or tomorrow or next week, well, probably will stay like that. But I think the second half of the year there will be a major changes coming up, so we will do some update for you anyway. So let's go into the vaccination and testings page, and I'll go through them. Now I've previously gone through this, but that was a couple months ago. There has been a lot of changes, and you may notice this website is very useful because wow, they provide multi-language. So whether or not you read Arabic, Greek, Hindi, Indonesian, Japanese, Koreans, or Chinese, or Vietnamese, you may want to click into the language that you wish to go for. But I'm gonna go here with English, so everybody will be able to understand. So a vaccination requirement. Now it is still a requirement, a mandatory requirement for all travelers going into Australia to be vaccinated. That's the general rule, and there are some other conditions that we're going to go through. So if you're an Australian citizen and permanent resident, then you're exempt from Australian border restriction. Do not need to apply for exemption. But if you're not a citizen or PR, you're required to get vaccinated and apply for travel exemptions. We're going to go through that detail there. Meeting the requirements. So at this point in time, Australian definition of fully vaccinated international travel purpose, basically that's this statement here. Basically meant you get 2 doses, and I think 14 days apart from each doses, and 14 days after the second doses, then you will meet the fully vaccinated status. And if you are a child under 12, then you're not required to get vaccinated. If you're 12 to 17 who are willing to travel to Australia, at least one parent who is fully vaccinated. So you can travel. A child between 12 and 17 can travel with the parent who is fully vaccinated, and cannot be vaccinated for medical reason. That's something that we're gonna have a look at. Well, that's down here. Anyway, let's go up there again. But it's a very easily navigated web page that they direct you to where it is. So you just click that link, you can get to there. So temporary visa holder, that's for anyone else, like 600 visa, 485, 482, you name it, any visa that doesn't start with 108. Okay, because 108, the subclass 108 are generally permanent resident. And if you're an Australian citizen holding an Australian passport, obviously you are not being treated as temporary visa holders. So temporary visa holder who arrive in Australia may have their visa cancelled or be detained or removed if they are not fully vaccinated for international travel purpose and do not have medical contradiction to COVID-19 vaccine defining Australian government and not being exempt. So, well, it's very unlikely someone will actually I haven't seen anyone, because they are generally being denied to travel to board the flight from whatever the country they were originally. So I haven't seen that happening, because in fact I've actually checked a lot of my client or friends who had recently arrived in Australia. To be honest, the border doesn't even check at all. So what they do is they check the people at the boarding. So they get their people at the other side of the world and checking at those travelers and passengers before boarding. That's what they do. So I haven't seen anyone be detained or or removed or cancelled as of yet. But don't do that. I mean, no, you won't. That's the reason for this video. You want to find out all the detail before you travel. Fully vaccinated. So what are the vaccination brain, the vaccine brain? Okay, so again, I have just said that 2 doses at least 14 days apart. So that's AstraZeneca, and there are different type of AstraZeneca. I think the COVID Shield is the one manufactured in India. Okay, Pfizer, BioNTech, Moderna, Sinovac, Bharat Biotech, Gamaleya Research Institute, Sputnik, I think that's from Russia, if I remember right, Novavax and Sinopharm, or all 1 dose of Johnson & Johnson. Okay, so since last time I've updated the information, there are a bit more brands being updated into this website. So at least 7 days passed since the final dose, so since the second dose. Now there is no requirement for 3rd or 4th doses as of Australian governments require, and they are moving towards more relaxed rules and policies, and hopefully by the second half of the year, all of these will be removed and everything's back to normal. Providing evidence of vaccination, so you will have some sort of certificate. Make sure it has English in there, even it's going to be written, or some country has already got digital version. You may save that in your mobile phone or print them out, whatever that you require. If you're arriving by air, you'll also be asked to provide evidence before that DPD. That's the thing we have just talked about at the beginning of this video. If you travel by sea, you need to do a maritime travel declaration. I haven't seen anyone travel by sea and going to Australia. That's gonna take too long. If you're leaving Australia, you need to be able to prove of vaccination status. Some airline vessel operator may also have their own vaccination requirements. So because they are required to meet different countries' criteria. So you might want to check that out yourself. And I'm not going to go through with MyGov and things like that. That's a issue by Australian government. But if you are in Australia and you wish to get your vaccination done and you want to get that certificate, that's an International COVID-19 Vaccination Certificate, ICVC, you're required to go through that detail. And that's not the aim of this video, but it may change in the future. Anyway, let's move downwards. If your name on the vaccination certificate doesn't match your passport, wow, how would that happen? If you do have that vision to change your name after you get vaccinated, I mean, this is very, very, very limited condition. But if you do have that, well, why don't you just get your certificate name changed back to the correct one that you got? Okay, arrangement for children. So children in the below group travel under the same arrangement as vaccinated travel. That means if you meet this condition, you are not required. You are treated as a vaccinated passenger. So if you're under 12, you're treated as a vaccinated passenger. That means you don't need to go vaccinated. But some countries do promote you get vaccinated for child. For example, that they have rolled out in USA at this, I think, a couple of days ago or last week or something like that. And age of 12 to 17, you need to travel with one parent who is fully vaccinated. So there's no mandatory requirement that the child required to be vaccinated at this point in time. Passport will be used to prove a child's age. If you cannot get vaccinated for medical reason, that's the one that we wanted to talk about. So if you provide acceptable evidence, you will be able to travel under the same travel arrangement as vaccinated travelers. So and there's some state and territory requirement there. So prove that you cannot be vaccinated because of medical contradiction in separate to travel exemptions. So is separate to travel. So that means even if you had that medical certificates, you're still required. And if you are not Australian citizen or permanent resident, you still need to lodge a travel exemptions application to get that approved. Prove you cannot be vaccinated for medical reason when leaving Australia. So that's you're in Australia. So obviously, there's a reason you're being registered with AIR, Australian Immunization Register, that you cannot, because due to medical condition, you're not able to get vaccinated, and you need to have that done. So that's you need to go to Australia. And that's hell of a government administrative work that you're required to go through. Prove that you cannot be vaccinated for medical reasons when entering Australia. To access the same travel arrangement as fully vaccinated travelers, you must provide acceptable proof that you cannot be vaccinated. So if you're entering Australia, medical contradiction recorded in the Australian AIR, you can show that, but it's unlikely because unless the country that you're staying currently do have that connections. But see how that goes. I haven't personally gone through that yet, but if anyone has already gone through that, may want to share that experience in the comment right down below. If you do not have a medical contradiction recorded in AIR, you need to show airline vessel staff. That's when you are required to check in and board the flight medical certificate. That's exactly what I just said before, indicating that you're unable to be vaccinated with a COVID-19 vaccine because of medical condition. The medical certificate must be in English with your name, date of medical consultation, detail clearly outline your medical condition. And then your medical practitioner can find information medical condition that mean vaccination is contradicted on Department of Health, Home Affairs. Oops, what have I just clicked out? Why not we just go there and check out what they are. COVID-19 testing. Australia does not require you to undertake any pre-departure testing anymore, so they have abolished that. They took that away. You're not required to go through RAT or PCR anymore before you can fly, so that's different to my previous video as well. Now let's go into the proof of vaccination. Definition of fully vaccinated, we have gone through that. Australian traveling internationally, traveling to Australia, departing, vaccination, medical contradiction, children under 12 and 3 months, as demonstrated as their passport, do not need to provide proof of a vaccine. Okay, so that's good. Evidence of medical contradiction, okay, wow, whatever, I'm gonna get announce that anyway. Okay, so travel to Australia. Now let's have a look. Contradictions. Australian permanent residents, traveler can have their medical recorded in AIR, so we gone through that. So what are the conditions required to be there? So you need to get your name, date, that we have just gone through that. Requirement of the condition, permanent exemption, previous anaphylaxis. Okay, I'm not too sure if I pronounced that right. There's just so many medical terms I haven't really in my life actually pronounced them anyway, so bear with me, but you know what I mean. Okay, temporary exemptions. So if you have so permanent, you need to show that you have these conditions in order that you're not required to go through any vaccine. If not, then you're required to at least give a try on the vaccinations. That's not pushing you, and after the vaccination that it's showing there's infantry cardiac illness. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, if I do know I have some sort of condition, would you like to go and try? I mean, there's potentially have look at this. If you had heart failure, you probably already not here watching this video, right? So I'm not here to promote people to actually give a try and get a medical certificate saying that, oh, my heart almost failed after I had the vaccination. So a lot of people come to me and ask whether or not they should really get vaccinated. I'll say, look, if you're not really happy about the vaccination, let's just wait for the second half of the year. I think all these requirements will be lifted for reason. They already done that in Europe, so it will be rolled out soon in US and potentially globally. So let's go back to this one. So I don't want, I'm not trying to push you to get vaccinated and try to have potentially heart failure. I mean, that's, or heart disease. That's just crazy. I mean, and you want a medical certificate saying that? Oh, I doubt anyone would like to get that try. For all COVID-19 vaccination, a major medical condition. Oh, come on, that's very hurtful. You don't want to go through just for travel reason that you wanted to go to Australia and trying to get into a major medical condition. That's just not right. Anyway, let's go back to the website from Home Affairs. So again, if you click on unvaccinated traveler, there are 3 different types. So first one is Australian citizen permanent resident. I'm not going through with New Zealand citizens. because it's very similar to Australian citizen and permanent resident, but you may want to check that out if you're from if you hold a passport in New Zealand. And also I'm going to go through international traveler here. So again, we go to unvaccinated Australian citizen and permanent resident. You can still enter, but there's a rule in different states require you to potentially stay home for a couple of days, and as long as you get rat tests and nothing happened, and you're basically taking care of yourself by yourself. But Western Australia, please check Western Australia, because they always do have different requirement apart from all the other states. So entering and transit Australia, so unvaccinated Australian citizen and permanent resident. So this is very good. I really promote this webpage to anyone who wanted to travel to Australia, and even if you're an Australian citizen. So they give you step by step. So first one, before you book, so don't go and book your flight and spend the money and find out that you're not able to travel. So check your vaccination requirements. So as long as you're fully vaccinated, of course, no problem. But if you do have those conditions that we just talked about, you need that medical certificates, or perhaps you need to show that the permanent exemptions medical certificate that we just shown about. Check the state that you want to go in. So again, you want to check whatever the state that you're in. Basically go to Google and type in COVID-19 and the state name, the name of the state, that you should be able to find yourself. But it's very similar across the eastern border of Australia, but Western Australia is always a little bit different. Plan your travel, plan ahead. You should consider what may cause delay, and you may have those documents ready, for example vaccination certificates and etc. Book your travel, prepare your travel, and board a flight, and get your DPD done, and that's it. You arrive and good. Okay, now for unvaccinated, that's the same as what we just gone through. So for unvaccinated international travelers, there's a little bit different. So again, the definition, you're definitely required to be fully vaccinated. Otherwise, again, you need to show that medical condition, and in addition, you need to apply for travel exemption. That's the only differences between international travelers and Australian citizen or permanent resident. Okay, so the travel exemption, which was created when the pandemic hit. So detail is basically you need to show how you can actually get exempted. Okay, so if you're not vaccinated and you have no relative and none of these contact that you have, for example, you are Australian citizen, or you have your immediate family of your Australian citizen, or you're not transit, you had diplomatic accredited, so you're a diplomat officer of a particular country, maritime crew, or business innovation 1AA visa holders and things like that. Otherwise, you probably won't get exempted. But by saying that, it's always look for an update. I'm estimated by the second half of the year, probably before Christmas, all of this will be lifted, unless there's COVID gets more severe. But I don't think that's going to be the case, because everywhere around the world is lifting different kind of restrictions week by week. Who can apply travel exemptions? So basically everyone. You need to show compassionate and compelling reason. If there's a death or critical illness of a family member, escorting Australian citizen or unvaccinated, you plan for marriage in Australia, foreign national travel invitation by Australian government, or critical specialist medical services, and there's a list of all the students selected in part of international arrival plans. So it's all very important event that you're required to go through, and you may want to have a read on this one. But apart from all that, I mean, some of them are about international students. You can actually conduct online learning nowadays. So I haven't seen anyone actually done this, and a lot of students, they would have already got vaccinated. They're not required to go through travel exemptions anymore because they are vaccinated already. So that's for again, that's for unvaccinated international travelers. So if you're already vaccinated, fully vaccinated, if you do not meet Australian definition of fully vaccinated, that's only for, so if you are fully vaccinated, you're not required to go through travel exemption. That's another way to go for it. And if you're not fully vaccinated, yeah, just apply on the portal there. Anyway, that's for a little bit lengthy video here. Just go step by step how you could actually plan ahead if you want to travel to Australia. So we have just gone through, if you're an Australian citizen or permanent resident, there's a different way to treat it. And if you're international travelers, there's different way to treat it. And both category does have different way to treat if you're fully vaccinated or not fully vaccinated, and how you're required to go through all that. The only difference between the Australian citizen and permanent resident and the international traveler is the differences between the unfully vaccinated personnels are required to go through a travel exemption application. Now, before you board, obviously 7 days before you board a flight, you're required to get DPD done as well. Anyway, should you have more question, query, more than welcome to leave a comment right down below, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.